Hi everyone and welcome back to the Thermomix TM6 cooking journey. Today we will be making chocolate muffins, which all the children will love. So in order to find this recipe, you want to look for the recipe that's rated 5 stars and called chaga mushroom and chocolate muffins. Unfortunately today we won't be adding chaga mushroom to it, but if you do want to add chaga mushroom powder, it's just an extra step. For the ingredients today, we will be using chocolate chips, chocolate powder, white sugar, salt, 1 egg. Make sure you have a muffin baking tray for your muffins so that they can form the mold and actually look like muffins. Baking powder, baking soda, milk, oil, vegetable oil, and all-purpose flour. And if you would like to add your chaga mushroom, you can add that, and you can also add instant espresso. They're both optional that you can put into your chocolate muffins. So let's start cooking. Our first step will be to preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's around 180 degrees Celsius. Make sure everything is out of your oven, including your trays. You'll be needing them later. So I'll be putting my oven to grilling from both sides and turn it to Celsius 180 degrees. Now as our oven is preheating, we will be moving on to our next step. So now if you would like to have paper muffin liners, you put them into your muffin holes now. For our next step, we'll be putting in our vegetable oil. So as always, your Thermomix will be able to measure it for you, therefore you won't need to worry about the Oz calculation. So 2 ounces of vegetable oil. Cool, that's around 2 ounces. For our next step, we'll be adding our whole milk. We need 2.5 ounces of oil. For our next step, we'll be adding our large egg. Okay, now for our next step, we'll be adding our mushroom powder if you're going to add it, but I won't be doing that today, and your espresso powder. And now you want to add your sugar. Cool, that's around 4 ounces of sugar. Next step, we'll be adding our white vinegar. So now I've got a tablespoon of white vinegar. I'm going to add it to my mixture. And then you press next step. And now you want to put on the lid onto the top of your Thermomix. Press your next step. And then turn your speed to 4 for 10 seconds. Cool, now that your mixture has been mixed successfully, press your next step and you want to add in your all-purpose flour. So 3 ounces of all-purpose flour will go in. And press your next step. Add in your cocoa powder, which will be 3 tablespoons. Cool, here I have my cocoa powder, and here I have my 1.5 tablespoon. So I'll be putting in 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Cool. The next step, I'll be adding in a 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. So now I have here a 1/2 teaspoon, and we'll be adding in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Cool. And then let's move on to our next step. We'll put in 1/2 tablespoon of baking soda as well. Teaspoon, sorry. Cool. I'll put that in. The next step, we'll add a pinch of salt. And then our next step, we'll be putting back on our lid. And then we'll be turning it back to speed 4 and waiting for another 10 seconds. Cool. For our next step, we'll have to scrape down our mixing bowl with the spatula. Cool. Now that you've scraped down the inside of your mixing bowl, you want to move on to your next step, which will be putting back our lid onto our Thermomix machine, and then we'll be having it mix for another 10 seconds at speed 4. Next step. Now we'll be adding in our mini chocolate chips, and you want to add in around 3 ounces. Cool. That's around 3 ounces. Now we want to put our lid back on and let it mix at speed 3 for 5 seconds so it can mix the chocolate chips. Cool. Now for our next step, we'll have to move our batter into our muffin pan. Okay, because I won't be using any muffin paper in my holes, so I'm going to be putting some oil into them to make sure that my muffins do not stick. Cool, now I'll be pouring my chocolate mixture into my 6 different muffin molds evenly, because different muffin molds have different sizes of muffins. So it turns out that my muffin tray was quite large, therefore I only made 5 muffins, but that will be okay. So on top of my muffins, I'll be putting some chocolate drops so you'll be able to see them after they're baked. Also add some extra layering. Cool. Now you want to press the next step on your Thermomix machine, which is just simply to bake it for 20 to 22 minutes. Cool, now that your oven's been preheated, you want to put your muffins into the oven. And I'll see you all in 20 minutes. My muffins are ready to come out of the oven. Now we'll be putting them in there for 10 minutes and we'll be waiting for them to cool down and we'll take them out of the mold. Okay everyone, my muffins have come out of the oven and they have cooled and they are intact now. The shape is a bit weird, but they taste delicious. And don't forget, if you're making this by yourself, there's also Chinese guides in the link below. Make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notifications bell if you did enjoy this video. I'll see you guys all next time where we will cook something new with our Thermomix TM6 machine. Thank you, bye!